So briefly speaking, my background, I was pretty rampant with ill health of sorts in my 40s, got diagnosed with cancer. I'd had a life of drinking, fast food, but also lots of fitness and stuff. Really didn't give a care to the long-term approach. Thought I could live life in the fast lane and still be healthy with no thought to the consequences. Pretty serious cancer of the sphenoid bone in the head brought me crashing back down to earth with that. Afterwards, a herniated lumbar disc. Throughout my sporting life, a catalogue of injuries encompassing pretty much most joints in my body, lots of muscular stuff, fascial stuff, yeah, you name it. Post cancer, I got this urge to research everything because the solutions I was being presented with by first off my oncologist weren't very promising in terms of my long-term prognosis and outcome, and I didn't want to accept that my life was going to be severely diminished going forward. And so I started researching a whole host of things and coming across a range of perspectives which I hadn't come across in the mainstream education I'd had in health and fitness, and I'd been a personal trainer on and off for many years beforehand. There was a mix of traditions from east and west, totally different philosophical approach in terms of taking it easy versus taking it hard, getting objectives, long-term views versus short-term, a whole host of things which we'll discuss going forward. But I found there were much more reliable ways for me to keep myself healthy and take control, but it meant me getting educated.
Yeah, from my point of view, I've always had an interest in health and fitness. I think that comes from my upbringing. I'm very close with my mum. She was always keen to talk about exercise and different ways of eating from an early age. So I had that strong influence there. She encouraged us to move a lot. We were always outdoors. We ate home cooked food 99% of the time. So I was quite fortunate in that respect. Gravitated towards certain sports, martial arts, football, lifting weights, wanted to push myself, in physical aspects and just try and be the best I could at everything I was doing. And that worked reasonably well for a certain amount of time, but it was a bit of a blunt tool to use. So as I got into my 30s, I just started to get into a cycle of the things that I'd been doing while I was younger not working as well. So the injuries started to accumulate. I ran into gut issues, probably actually started in my mid-20s. And small things gradually got worse. I had very poor sleep. And eventually I got to a point in my early 40s when I was thinking, almost nothing that I'm doing now is working. I think I'm moving backwards at this point. But I didn't believe it was just a factor of age. I thought that I just needed to learn more. I'd been doing some things not in the smartest way possible. So it was really in my early 40s when I went deep into just trying to figure out my own problems. That was many injuries that had accumulated that had been niggles until they became much more serious. And the digestive issues and sleep issues were probably the main thing. So I wasn't getting much luck with the conventional methods. Saw millions of different experts, physios, osteopaths, all sorts.
How much have you spent?
Quite a bit. It's
same here.
2000. So it's probably equivalent to what a lot of people might spend on having a nice car or something like that. But I've invested that into just trying to learn to figure out my own issues and also to share what I've learned with other people. Been a coach in different forms for about 15 years consistently. So I think what we've got here is a combination of our experiences over the years, and it's not a static thing. We're still learning. What we're
Yeah,
presenting is the best of what we have to offer at the moment, and some of these things likely will change.
yeah, yeah. There's things I used to do which I don't do anymore. Things I realise I got drastically wrong. I think it's interesting we both share. I didn't mention this, but very strong input from my mum. She believed food could cure all illnesses, and that was a big factor. But I think what we've both shown there, and it's certainly something that my personal philosophy is that I don't actually want to rely on an external expert for my own health. Having sort of done that for most of my lifetime, and what I've discovered since, I'm realizing that one, you can get 10 experts out there that will have 10 different opinions, often diametrically opposed. In nutrition, for instance, high carb, low carb, high fat, and you've got eminent experts on both sides of that argument. So for me, it became a case of, well, trying to find some universal principles, understanding that context makes a big difference and that a context changes. So at different times in our life or even in the day, both those approaches could be useful for us in terms of the nutrition stuff. So that became a big realization. And that I wanted to be able to manage my own health and know how to deal with it myself, because at the end of the day, my body, my health, my mind is my biggest asset to experience this lifetime. And the experiences I've had with advice from others was really unsatisfactory on the whole. Some really good stuff, and a lot of what we're going to share with you is stuff we've learned from other people, but it did take a lot of effort. um and I suggest that for anyone who's seriously interested, that there will be some mental effort in terms, but there are some good quick wins there as well. It's not just about finding the quickest shortcut.
Yeah,
How
I
about yourself?
totally agree with that. I think the way I look at it is really being your own advocate. Definitely consult with experts, but always be ready to question and get
Yeah.
second opinions. Ultimately, you're the person who probably cares most about your own health. It's not that the experts don't care, but when you both go your separate ways at the end of the consultation, you're the one who has to live with it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think really just being prepared to take that on yourself, and go on your own journey is how I look at things.
Hmm.
And I think we'd like to encourage that mindset with the people that we're working with, not to just take everything that we say as something to be followed, and to go on your own process of figuring out what's right for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think as coaches, we see ourselves as coaches rather than instructors. Whereas an instructor is going to maybe give you a technique and say you have to copy this down to the T, etc. Whereas as coaches, what I believe we're doing is trying to provide uh, an intellectual or philosophical approach to your own health, where we can guide you, we can help you find gaps in your knowledge and point you to places and help you with that, but that you also guide yourself in what feels right for you, and we'll work with you to do that. And in terms of what you need to do in the short term, midterm, long term, how you even think about your health and fitness, if you do at all. So